In September 2023, a photo was posted to Telegram. It depicted a Russian general and his wife. Within hours, online sleuths were able to identify exactly where the photo was taken, based almost entirely on its features. They didn't use special tools or techniques. They examined the photo and let it tell its story. These same methods are available to anyone looking at your dating profile right now. The question isn't whether someone can find you. It's how easy are you making it for them? We're about to find out. This is the Notice Project. I spent 22 years in the intelligence community as an analyst, targeting officer, and a collection manager. A lot of that time was spent characterizing and locating people and organizations. So much that it's kind of hard to turn it off. So, when I downloaded my first dating app 2 years ago, I was blown away by how readily people shared information with strangers online that could lead directly to their identity and their location. Everything that they provided in their profiles, chatted with a match, or shared in person over coffee, all conspired to tell others who they were and their exact location. I imagine you're wondering what my point is. Dating apps are insanely popular. Whether it's Tinder or Bumble, according to a study of users, about 1 in 4 say that they've been stalked by someone they met online. That's more than 100 million users worldwide that have experienced some type of stalking. That's more than the populations of Italy and Poland combined. Now, not every one of these millions of users posted something online that they shouldn't have. That's just not how this works. But I do know that the best way to prevent being a target is to hide clues to your identity and location, because just like the photo of the general, all of the clues can mount up quickly. I've always loved detective stories. There's always this point where the detective has an epiphany about some small piece of information that they overlooked. If it's written right, the audience realizes it at the same time. It happens so much that it's become a sort of a Hollywood trope, the clue hidden in plain sight, that nobody picks up on. We're not surprised when it happens. We kind of actually expect it. Now, I've never been a detective, but I have answered questions that filled some pretty significant intelligence gaps. Most often, it was through some pretty mundane piece of information, hidden in the details, that was easy to overlook. Bringing us back to dating apps. We can't hide our dating profiles. That would defeat the purpose, right? So we put out this collection of information for all the world to see, hoping that on the other end, it results in a connection. Someone that fills our heart with joy, or at the very least, returns our texts. This is the exciting part, right? We set out on our search, excited about finding somebody. But for many women, it can be overwhelming as the likes rain in. For many men, there's a bit of a drought. So after barely glossing over profiles, they fire off the likes, hoping a lot of likes will equal a lot of matches. But beyond these admittedly exaggerated stereotypes, there is another subset of users. These folks, both men and women, won't gloss over your profile, and they are not waiting for the likes to rain in. You might not even know they are obsessing over your profile, poring over it, and looking for the tiniest of clues that helps them learn more about you. Who you are, where you live, and everything else. Now, I'm not faulting anyone that does a due diligence check on a match, especially before meeting them in person. This is not that. I know that there needs to be some verification that the person is who they say they are, that they aren't married and they don't have any PFAs or criminal history or anything like that. What I am talking about is the other people. Call them stalkers, creepers, whatever you want. They exist, and they are looking at your profile. Not everyone who digs into your details is a psycho stalker, but damn near everyone that is a stalker will dig into your details. So let's look into what they can actually do with your dating profile information. It may surprise you. As I mentioned earlier, I know a little bit about this behavior since I was trained to do it. Let me give you an example from my Intel days. My job at the time was to learn everything I could about this one organization. However, I kept running into reports on another associated organization. This unit was highly secretive, and we just didn't know a lot about it. What its mission was, where it was located. There was very little information, but it was clear that the organization existed, and I poured myself into trying to at least find its location. After going down a lot of rabbit holes, I was able to piece together enough information to at least confirm where it was headquartered. Relatively standard stuff. But the amazing part was that the key piece of information came from what I thought was the unlikeliest of sources. Now, if you watch a lot of James Bond or Mission Impossible type movies, you might picture some secret squirrel kind of stuff with someone sneaking in or listening to conversations via some planted mic. I can assure you that this was not the case. In this case, the unlikeliest of sources were photos from members of the organization itself. An extremely minor background feature of two wholly unrelated photographs sealed the deal. What was this feature, you ask? A rock with a tiny water stain, and it made all the difference. Similar to the case with the general and his wife, the organization didn't have a dating app or social media. It didn't post anything obvious. It practiced good OPSEC, and it was still found. How much more likely is it to find someone on a dating app that broadcasts who they are and potentially where they are to the world? To help us dig into this, let's look at the anatomy of a dating profile. Different apps make for different profiles. However, there are certain pieces of information that are seen everywhere. First name, age, general location. These bits of information can lead someone directly to your last name, phone number, and address. All it takes is patience and diligence. Sometimes it doesn't even require that. This is a good time to bring up a few caveats. First, the profiles that we'll be examining are not real. I created every one of them. Believe me, not that many good-looking people live near me. Second, I'm not going to go too deep into specifics on how to actually do anything that I'm describing. Just like in my old days, I'm not going to get into the weeds on sources and methods. So at some fundamental level, you're going to have to assume what I'm saying is true. Finally, most of the profiles that we'll be going through will be women's profiles. That's just what I see more of. So keep that bias in mind as we move forward. Beyond name, age, and general location, there are a dozen other attributes that tend to be optional. These range from physical characteristics, such as height, hair color, eye color, body shape, biographical characteristics, such as Zodiac Sign, education, children, and finally to behavioral characteristics, such as drinking, smoking, politics, religion, activity level. Most of this information, while descriptive, adds context but not much else. For example, if someone has red hair, it's unlikely that they belong to a ginger society with mandatory meetings at a specific location. However, if someone lists a unique religion, it's possible that someone could figure out exactly where they are on their respective days of worship. These points notwithstanding, there remains a group of profile information that is far from just descriptive. And what I found is that the same information that makes a profile work is what also creates risk. Let's compare two profiles, Jessica and Kelly. Jessica spent a lot of time and effort creating her profile. It's fully fleshed out and includes multiple photos that really show off her personality. She has a detailed bio and provides answers to virtually all of the app's cues. 2 minutes. She lists her specific occupation, the university she attended, including her graduation date, and something else we call pattern of life. This includes her daily and weekend routines. She actually uses the words, "you will find me." It would not be very difficult to indeed find Jessica if you came across this profile on a dating app. 5-minute stops. Her occupation, university, and graduation year are just glaring red flags. Almost beacons that do indeed say, "find me." So if this profile were real, and again, it most certainly is not, I would very quickly be able to narrow down Jessica's last name from Purdue's 2020 commencement list. And from there, probably her address, her employer, her phone number, maybe her list of biggest fears, you name it. Let's stop picking on Jessica for a moment and let's discuss the second profile because it's even more telling, but for an entirely different reason. Kelly put in much less effort than Jessica. She provides no information beyond her name and age. Her photos consist of an inspirational quote, a heavily filtered picture of herself, and a group photo that I dare anyone to find her in. Her profile is so low effort that it conceivably could have been created by her just dropping her phone on the ground. With that said, Kelly's profile is far safer than Jessica's, but at what cost? Jessica has a reasonable chance of finding a partner. Kelly doesn't. At least, not as good of a chance as Jessica does. So, let's try to square this by looking at the most common profile reveals and how to lessen them. In other words, how to keep our swiping safe and our hunting happy. Let's dive in. Every profile starts with it. Hell, in Facebook dating, it's auto-populated. So, including first name as one of the biggest dating reveals seems kind of odd. But your first name, combined with other pieces of information, including other parts of your profile, is extremely risky. Of course, this really depends on how densely populated your area is. For example, let's say I was born in 1995 in California. There'd be over 5,000 other Daniels born in California that year. A sea of Daniels. This would provide some cover if someone was earnestly trying to find out more about me and was armed only with my first name and age. Now, let's say that I was born in Wyoming. That sea of Daniels looks more like a puddle. Fewer than 3 dozen. This same logic holds true for regions smaller than states. If you're near a major metropolitan area, chances are there are thousands of people with your first name. If you live in a rural area, depending on how rural, you might have actually met every other person with your first name. Or you see them in the mirror every morning. So, how do we navigate this? If using a fake name is seen as dishonest and using your real name is a privacy risk, what are we to do? Your mileage may vary with this one. People may be put off by finding out your name is Chris when your profile says it's one. If they find out that your name is Chris after matching with a profile named FunkyBase95, it feels a little less dishonest. With that said, I'm not suggesting that you don't include your real name. What I am suggesting is that you understand that every bit of information you put out there, including something as small as your first name, can be used to find out more about you. If you choose to use your real name, you have to be especially careful with what else you put out there. Age. This is going to be touchy. On its own, age doesn't really do anything. As more and more people tell me every year, it's just a number. But together with your name or some other piece of information from your profile, it's devastating. Why? Mainly because it can be used to narrow results. You probably use it right now as a filter in a lot of ways. If you're looking for a car, perhaps you're looking for something that was built this decade. Same logic holds here. I'm not telling you to lie about your age. I do want you to be aware that a real name coupled with a real age can be a serious privacy risk. This is especially true when combined with location. Virtually all apps provide your general location. This makes sense, as search radius has to be drawn somewhere. If you want to search for users within 10 miles of you, the app needs to know where you are. Same thing goes for other users. The app needs to know where they are to determine if they are within 10 miles of you. Some apps take this a step further and provide more detailed distances. For example, Bumble has a feature that, when enabled, it will give matches a much more precise distance to one another. For some less reputable people, this is the app equivalent of playing hot and cold. Beyond some creepy location information that apps give you directly, when combined with age and first name, general location significantly narrows the potential results of a search. I wanted to test this out, so I performed 2 Google searches of myself. One included just my first name and the town I lived in. Afterwards, I added my age. Just including my name and location, my information, including my full name and address, showed up twice in the first 10 pages of results. Once on page 5 and once on page 7. When I included my age in the search query, my full name and address appeared 3 times in the first 5 results. Of course, I live relatively close to a large metropolitan area. If I lived closer, it might be a little more difficult to sort through the results. Zodiac. Most dating apps have Zodiac Sign as a fillable attribute. In the past, I've included this in my profile as well. Mostly because I know that it matters to a lot of people. And it matters to me whether it matters to other people. If someone doesn't want to match because I'm a Leo, that's awesome. Because I don't want to match with anyone that's concerned about me being a Leo. I imagine you're thinking, what could possibly be the big deal about including a Zodiac sign? And I would agree with your skepticism if it were just about compatibilities or something like that. However, let's step back a second and consider what a Zodiac sign represents. When you present your Zodiac sign, don't think compatibility. Think, I'm narrowing the filter of when I was born. Someone originally had a 1 out of 12 chance of guessing my birthday month. They now have more than a 50% chance. Remember when I said that combining a real age and a real name presents a serious privacy risk? This extends that further. An actual Zodiac sign in a real age, you have somewhere around a 1 in 30 chance of guessing your exact birthday. I mean, that's not a big deal, right? Maybe you'll get a birthday card or DoorDash, or maybe someone can easily find out exactly where you live. Let me give you an example. Most states have voter sites that allow people to verify the location of their polling places. Many of these sites are not enabled by any kind of real verification measures that the person doing the searching is the person that the search is about. For example, in my state, I was able to access a voter status site, fill out a simple online query, and see my information. The information needed for this online query: county, zip, first name, last name, birthday. After I was finished, I then tried to pull up an address for a well-known celebrity that I knew lived in a certain area, and I knew their birthday. It worked. I have no idea if this person's actual address is public knowledge, and I'm not sharing it here. But it is definitely publicly accessible, and it probably shouldn't be. And this is their actual address, not a P.O. box or some summer house or anything like that. This is the official address that the government has on file for them. It would not be very hard to find your address with just your profile information and a little guesswork. So what have we covered so far? Because it doesn't seem like much, right? A first name, an age, a general location, and a zodiac sign. Each of these on their own are harmless. They're background noise, static. But stack them together, it's not background noise anymore. It's not static. It's signal. We only looked at one path that included these pieces of information. It led to a voter registration record, led to your location, led to where you sleep. There are many more paths out there. And we haven't even gotten to your photos yet. This is exactly what I mean by saying that the same information that makes dating profiles work is what creates risk. It's not doing anything wrong. It's doing exactly what the app wants us to do. And that's a problem. Which brings us back to where we started, the Russian general and his wife. A single piece of information posted by someone who meant no harm told the world where he was, because people knew exactly what to look for. He didn't post it. He didn't choose it. They also didn't stand a chance. The question is, do you? We choose the post. We choose what goes in our profile, which means we have something he didn't. We have the ability to control what our profiles say about us before someone else decides what to do with that information. Next time, we're going into the photos themselves. The details hidden in plain sight that you might not have even thought about. Trust me, you'll never look at a selfie the same way again. If you've learned anything from this video, let me know in the comments. And let me know if you have any dating app horror stories, especially if it involves the topics we talked about. I'll be in the comments to share my horror stories as well. Believe me, I have. And if you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of these, give me a subscribe. Be safe, guys. It's rough out there. Later, Dater.